Hello everyone, and welcome to Topic 7. But before we get started, let's do a quick overview of the markets we've analyzed so far and how that will lead to us learning more about monopoly, antitrust laws, and pricing strategies. And so far we covered perfect competition, monopolistic competition, and oligopoly. Now in Topic 7 we will discuss and analyze monopoly. Now monopoly is a firm that is a single seller in a market. And a monopoly is best identified based on the market share of each firm. Now, the closer a firm moves toward 100% of the market, the closer that firm will move toward a monopoly. However, the closer all firms move toward earning 0% of the market share, the closer that market is to a perfect competition. Therefore, it is essential to analyze market shares to identify firms that may be headed toward a monopoly within that market. As we know, firms that move closer toward perfect competition in a market is ideal because it's more controlled by the consumer. However, the closer a firm moves toward owning 100% of the market share is less controlled by the consumer. And normally we apply the HH index, which is used to analyze markets and identify firms that may gain the majority of market shares, and it can happen pre and post mergers as well. Now, the HH index has two purposes. First, the HH index is a calculation of each firm's market share within that particular market, and the HH index provides the market concentration. Now, I'll explain the purpose of knowing the market concentration on the next slide. But for right now, let's go through an example of how to calculate the HH index in a particular market. So let's go under the assumption that firm A has 70% of the market share, Firm B has 20% of the market share, Firm C and Firm D has 3% of the market share, Firm E has 2% of the market share, and Firm F and Firm G only has 1% of the market share. Now when we calculate the HH index, the HH index formula states that we must square the market share. So if you look at Firm A, 70% of the market share is 70 squared, which is also 70 times 70, which will give us 4,900. Firm B has 20% of the market share, so it's 20 squared, which is 20 times 20, gives us 400, and so on. We look at the market share, 3 squared is 3 times 3, 2 squared is 2 times 2, which gives us 4, and 1 squared, of course, is 1 times 1, which gives us 1. Now that we squared the market share percentages based on the HH index, the last step we have to do is provide the sum of the squares. And what that's telling us to do is to take the HH index score, and we will say 4,900 plus 400 plus 9 plus 9 plus 4 plus 1 plus 1, and the sum of the squares will give us 5,324. And now on the next slide, we will cover the importance of knowing the market concentration of this particular market group. Now, our ability to calculate market concentration will help us better analyze and identify firms that may be moving closer to a monopoly. So let's look at this particular slide. You will see that we have a range of 0 to 10,000. Well, that is the HH index number line. Now, how did we get 10,000? Do you remember on the previous slide when I stated that the HH index is the market share percentage squared? Well, you also know that 100% of the market square is considered a monopoly. So if you take 100 times 100 or 100 squared, you get 10,000. Now, when we get ready to calculate the market concentration, you will see that we strive to have the HH index be less than 1,500 in order to be considered a competitive marketplace. The range of 1,500 to 2,500 is moderate, and a market with an HHI of 2,500 or greater is highly concentrated. Now, highly concentrated markets, once you go greater than 2,500, you're moving closer to a monopoly. So when we take the sum of squares from the previous slide, which is 5,324, we are greater than 2,500. So that's a highly concentrated market. And we must be very careful of the firms that own the percentage of the market share. And governments may enforce the antitrust laws and regulations on certain firms in that particular market. especially, for example, if firm A, which owns 70% of the market share, attempts to merge or acquire another firm in that same market. And this is the purpose of conducting the HH index. Now, we consider a monopoly as the opposite of perfect competition. And in economics, a monopoly implies that there is exclusive possession of the market share by a single supplier without a suitable substitute. So the supplier with a monopoly can set the product price without apprehension due to the lack of available substitutes. Therefore, antitrust policies and regulations are aimed at promoting fair competition among firms within that market. And based on the market concentration, governments rely on antitrust laws and regulations to limit certain mergers, restrict certain business practices, break up large firms into smaller firms, and prohibit firms in certain markets from collaborating on production output or collaborating together on consumer pricing. And finally, we're going to learn about price strategies. Now, price strategies will determine the market price for goods and services. Therefore, the purpose of this lesson is to help us analyze the benefits of price discrimination, odd pricing, cost plus pricing, and two-part tariffs. And also, we will learn to discern the conditions that create monopolies. And to meet the objectives for this week, remember to answer each DQ, provide at least 3 responses to meet the participation requirement, and complete the benchmark case study presentation. Now, your benchmark case presentation will be grounded on the premise that you are presented to C-level executives. So please remember to speak clearly and take your time. And if you have any questions, my office hours and contact information will be posted in the Topic 7 forum. Again, welcome to Topic 7. I look forward to reading your thoughts and ideas online and listening to those C-level executive presentations. May God bless you and have an amazing week.